Hello guys, welcome to the Signal and Systems Lab report. My name is Sonu Tej. My roll number is 19EC01004. Today we will learn about basic programming in MATLAB. First we will start with how to create simple vectors, matrices and how to manipulate them. We can create a simple vector by using this notation. Commas can be used to separate the elements in the vector, and we can perform some basic mathematical operations on these vectors. Like a plus 3 denotes every element in A is added by 3, and the new matrix is B. And we can create matrices by using this syntax. Semicolons are used to separate the rows of a matrix. uh, we can find the transpose by using the dash. X dash gives the transpose of X, and we can multiply two matrices by using the syntax X star Y. It is the basic matrix multiplication, but X dot star Y is the multiplication of corresponding elements in those matrices. We have to create a column vector from the elements of a specific row of a matrix. So this can be done by first extracting the elements of that row and then transposing it. Then we can get the column vector. We can select some of the columns of a matrix X by using this syntax. Uh, basically basically column is two in MATLAB. Like to here 2 to 5 columns are selected, and the matrix V is made. In the same way, we can make a submatrix X2 from the original matrix X by selecting some of the rows and some of the columns. We can delete a row or a column in a matrix X by assigning it to a null value. Now let's run the code and see what happens. A is the simple vector we created and B is A plus 3. So every element of A is added by 3, so we get the matrix B. X is the square matrix we created, and Y is the transpose of X. Z is the matrix multiplication of X and Y. W is the corresponding elements multiplication in those matrices X and Y. X1 is the column vector we got by extracting the elements from the fourth row of X, and we selected some of the columns of X and made it into a matrix, and this is the matrix. X2 is the submatrix of X. We selected some of the rows and columns and made it into a matrix. Finally, we deleted the fourth column in the matrix X, so now it has only 4 columns. Coming to second question, it is very easy to plot graphs in MATLAB. So now we have to plot elementary sinusoidal signals sin x and cos x to graph. First we have to define the parameters and functions. We are taking y as sin x and z as cos x, and we are analyzing this function in between 0 and 10 with an increment of 0.01. The syntax to plot the graph is as shown. Hold on helps us to get both the graphs in the same figure. Now let's run the code. These are the graphs obtained. Grid on gives this grid in the graph, and the axis type just scales the graph. X label and Y label will give the names to this axis, and the syntax legend will give this box. It helps to differentiate between both the graphs. And now coming to subplot. In subplot, we can get both the graphs in different figures. It is actually like a matrix. Like the syntax is also shown here. The 1 and 2 are the number of rows and columns in the matrix in the syntax. And now we are plotting the elementary signal sin x and sin 10x via subplot. Let's run the. These are the graphs obtained. Title gives us the name for this graph, and same as before, X label and Y label gives the names to the axis, and grid on gives the grid. And coming to stem plot, the main difference between stem plot and plot is plot gives us continuous values and stem plot gives us discrete values. We are plotting elementary signals cos x and cos 10x in stem plot. Let's run the code. Like as you can notice, all the values are discrete, it is not continuous. Coming to next question, we are going to create and save two variables a and b into different file formats. We are randomly generating two variables a and b. Now we are saving them in .mut format, .txt and .xls formats. We can also save that in ASCII format, and by using the syntax type, we can view the values of our variables. Let's view it. These both are the values of the variables we have given, and now we are going to form a structure. It is nothing but it can take different data types. We have given three different types of data types, and now we have saved that by using this syntax in a .mut file. We can view it by using the syntax whos. Now we will run the code. This is the structure we have formed, and now coming to next question, uh, we are going to we are going to create some variables and then save as a file, and then we are going to append a new variable into that file. We have generated two variables a and b and saved it as a .mut file, and now by using whose syntax we can view the file. So this is the initial file, and now we are going to append a new variable c is equal to 3 into it by using this syntax, and now we are going to again view it by using the whose syntax. So this is the final file. So a new variable is appended into the file. Coming to next question, we are going to create a 2 into 2 cell array, and we are going to read it. We have created a cell array by using the write cell syntax, and by using the read cell syntax we are going to view it. By clicking run we will get the code. So this is the 2 into 2 cell array form, and in the same way we can also read and write a matrix. But we have randomly generated a matrix X, and then we have saved it by using write matrix syntax. Now we are going to view it by using the read matrix syntax, and now this is the matrix. Coming to next question, we can in MATLAB we can also read audio files in a different range of formats, including wave file, mp4 file, etc. Now I have a audio file stargauge intermusic in the wave format. Now by using this syntax audio read, MATLAB is going to analyze the function. It is also going to plot a graph. By clicking run we will see this is a short music. This is the graph obtained by the music. Coming to third question, we are going to express the quadratic equation in MATLAB, and we are also going to find the roots of the equation. In this case, we are going to take ABC as inputs from the user, and we have defined a variable x. The quadratic equation is k is equal to x square plus bx plus c. So when k is equal to 0, x1 and x2 are the roots. Let's run the code and give the input. Let's take a as 1, b as -3 and c as 2. Then the roots should be 2 and 1. Yeah. Coming to now, we have to plot the function y is equal to x square plus 0.5x plus 2 over the range -5, 10. We have defined x and y, and now we are going to use the plot function and plot the graph. And x label and y label are going to give the names of the axis, and grid on is going to show this grid, and this is the graph obtained. Coming to the next question, we are going to see a few commands in MATLAB. The first one is repealm. It is basically going to repeat copies of array elements. For example, if we have a simple vector a is equal to 1, 2, 3, then if we want a vector b with repeated elements of a, then we can use the command repealm. Unlike repealm, the command repmat repeats entire array, and I command is used to create an identity matrix, and zeros command is used to create an array full of zeros, and same as zeros command, ones command is also used to create an array full of ones, and the command rand is used to generate a random number with a uniformly distributed probability. And the reshape command can be used to reshape an array. Like if we have a vector, we can change it into a matrix, and if we have a matrix, we can change its dimensions. And the diag command can create a diagonal matrix, or we can get the diagonal elements of a matrix. And we have flip LR, it flips a matrix from left to right. And we have flip UD, it flips a matrix up to down. And we have rot 90, it actually rotates the matrix 90 degrees counterclockwise. And we have trill, it actually extracts the lower part of the lower triangle part of the matrix, and try U extracts the upper triangular part of the matrix. And the command permute is helpful to permute array dimensions. And circ shift command can be used to shift an array circularly. And the command length can be used is used so that we can get the length of the largest array dimension. For example, if we have a random matrix with dimensions 4 into 9, then we will get 9 as the length because it is the largest. We can use the size command to get the array size, and we can use ndims command to get the array dimensions, and we can use numail command to get the number of array elements in the matrix. And isEmpty command is used to determine whether the array is empty or not. Coming to the fifth question, we are going to discuss loops in this section. A while loop repeatedly executes statements while the condition is true. I have given an example here. It is asking for an input saying I will thank you n number of times, decide n. Let's run this section of code. If we give an input as 10, then it will print the thank you statement for 10 times. We have declared I as 1. Until I is less than or equal to 10, the thank you statement is printed. Now coming to for loop, a loop that needs to execute a specific number of times. Here also we have taken the same example. Let's run this section of code. It will ask for an input. If we give the input as 10, thank you statement is printed 10 times. This is happening for I is equal to 1 to 10. N is already given, so it will exactly print 10 times. And then we have nested loops. We can have loops inside loops. In this example, we have a while loop inside a for loop. Like this is for the while loop is used. Let's first run this code. If you give the input as 10, then the thank you statement is printed 10 times, and also the numbers from 1 to 10 are printed. The while loop is used to print the numbers, and the for loop is used to print the thank you statements. And next, continue. A continue statement is for a loop to skip the remainder of its body. For example, let's run this section of code. It is saying I will find the numbers which are divisible by 13 from 1 to n, decide n. So let's give n as 100. Then it will give the numbers which are divisible by 13 less than 100. We use continue statement in this because if it is not divisible by 13, then it should not print the number. So we use continue statement to again to skip the remainder of its body. And then we have break statement. A break statement terminates the loop. Let's run this section of code. It is asking I have selected 10 numbers from the set 1 to 100. Guess a number from it. Let's say 50. It is saying try again. Means 50 is not a number that its selection has. So we are MATLAB is randomly generating 10 numbers from 1 to 100. All of them are integers. Now we are giving the input like guessing a number from it. We have given 50. It will check each number is equal to 50 or not. If a number is equal to 50, then it need not continue to the other numbers. So it will break. A break command is used here. Coming to this is the question. We have to discuss about decision making in this section. The first one is if and statement. Let's take an example. Let's run this section of code. it is saying I thought of a number from the set 1 to 5, guess it. We have to guess a number from 1 to 5, let's say 3. It is not giving an answer because it is only an if and statement. It only has a one condition, like only if it is correct it prints a statement it is correct. If it is wrong it doesn't print anything. Now we have an if else statement. So in this let's run this code. Now also it is asking to guess a number from 1 to 5, let's say 2. It is saying try again. Now it has an if statement and also an else statement. If it is correct then it will print it is correct. If not then it will print try again. Like if we have more choices then we can have if statement, else if statement, and again else statement. Like in this case we have taken an example. It not only says if we are correct or wrong, it also says if we are near or close to the number. Means if we select 5 but the original number is 4, then it says you are close, like that. And we have nested if statements. An if statement can also be used inside a if statement. Like let's run this section of code. It is saying to type a number, let's say it is 3. It is saying it is a positive odd number. It is checking if it is positive or not, and also it is checking if it is an even number or odd number. So if we are using an if statement to tell if it is positive or not, and then inside the if statement we are using another if else statement to check if it is an even or odd number. And we have switch statements. Let's run this section of code. It is saying type a number from 1 to 3 to know the Latin names. Like I want to type 2, and it is saying the Latin name of 2 is Geo. Like it has 3 cases. Means if I type 1 it has to say one answer, if I type 2 it has to say one answer, and if I type 3 it has to say some answer. So in this case switch statements can be used. Like we can divide it into 3 cases, and then we have nested switch statements. Let's run this code. It is saying type a number from the set 1 to 3 to know the Latin names, and I am saying 1. It is saying multiply that number with 4 for answer, then it should be 4. It is saying you are good in multiplications, and the Latin name of 1 is Unum. Like in this case we have used nested switch statements. We have used a switch statement for the cases of for what the input I have given, like 1 or 2 or 3, and we have used another switch statement for guessing the multiplication is correct or wrong. Thank you.